So are you working from home currently? I suppose the answer is yes to that question. Suddenly the pandemic happened and we were absolutely left clueless as to what needs to be done. So we find ourselves working from home, or at least trying to work from home. I remember as a kid, we used to have homework. These days we have work from home. So the question that we are trying to answer here is, how do we ensure an effective work from home environment? Because there are so many things happening around us. It's easier to work from the office because you have a dedicated workspace, you have things in control, the infrastructure is impeccable, the AC is on, right? So it's much, much easier. How do you ensure that when you're working from home, you have all the necessary ingredients to ensure productivity? So I'm going to share with you a few tools and tips, which I believe would be practical for you to apply. And I'm sure there are many other things that you're already trying to do, but these might add to your already existing list. So number one, when you're working from home, always ensure that you have the same workspace. Now, what do I mean by that? Some people have the habit of changing their workspace quite often. One day they will be in the drawing room, the other day they will take a call from the bedroom. When you keep on changing your workspace, you are not able to concentrate with the same effectiveness. So try to find yourself a dedicated workspace. Now, I know it's slightly more complicated, especially in cities where the workspace available to members of the family is already very small, but as far as possible, if you can ensure that there is one workspace from where you take your calls, you attend your meetings, that makes it that much more simpler for you. So have a dedicated workspace as far as possible. Point number two, share your agenda with your family. Now, many a times we don't tell our family what is it that we are going to do the next day. For example, are you going to attend a meeting, or you have a client call? Now, why is this important? Because when you share this with your family, they will be in a much better position to support your cause, right? Imagine, you don't want a noisy room when you're attending a call or you're attending a training workshop, or perhaps you are in a meeting with a client. So when you openly share this with your family, at least a day in advance, then your members of the family are aware that they need to support you, they need to maintain silence. And that gives you some space and comfort when you're attending these official duties. So always share the agenda with your family at least a day in advance. Number three, and this is very, very interesting and one of my favorite techniques, practice Pomodoro. What is Pomodoro? So Pomodoro is a technique which actually helps us to break our work timings into dedicated time zones. Let's say, for example, you're working on any project. Work on it for 25 minutes at a stretch, followed by a 5-minute compulsory break. That's right. 25 plus 5 makes it 30. If you need more time on a particular thing, then you might want to extend this to 50-minute work duration, followed by a compulsory 10-minute break. Now, why is this break essential? You need to take a break before you get tired, not after you get tired. A lot of people make the mistake of taking a break when they're absolutely exhausted. So what happens thereafter? When you take a break, when you're exhausted, you don't want to come back to work because you're already tired, both physically and mentally. So the way to break this monotony is to go for a break when you're not tired. So that's where the Pomodoro technique is so very essential. 25 minutes of work followed by a 5-minute compulsory break, or a 50-minute work stretch followed by a 10-minute break. Try doing this, and I'm sure your productivity levels would be absolutely optimum. Okay, so that's the Pomodoro technique. What else do you need to do? Well, when you're working from home, remember that there are so many unexpected contingencies that will hit you. So be prepared for it mentally. Now, that's easier said than done, but just telling yourself that I'm working from home is very important, because you might have the doorbell ringing, you might have the telephone ringing, you might have someone expecting you or meeting you. All of these things will consistently happen. So don't freak out. I think it's okay to let yourself that breathing space and keep telling yourself that I'm working from home. That's very, very important to ensure that you're not mentally upset or frustrated in case you have any of these interruptions. Apart from this, we often face a lot of negativity. So I'm going to also add to this list a few tools and tips that you might use to overcome any kind of negativity or panic attacks or anxiety that you face. So here's what I do. I tend to call up my friends. Not very often, but at least once every couple of days, I call up a friend with whom I've lost connect. just speak to him or her about what is happening at their end. Sometimes they might not be able to pick your call, but that's all right. There are so many friends whom you can reach out to, have a word with them, talk to them, understand what they are doing in their life. And when you have a discussion, you understand that you're not the only one going through a problem. It's the same across the world, right? And that's a good thing to understand, because it tells you that we are all in it together. So connect with your friends. That's one of the best things you could do. Second, inculcate a hobby. It could be as simple as gardening or watering your plants, or perhaps reading a book or listening to music, whatever it is that you can do to unwind yourself. Yeah. This can go a long, long way in giving you that necessary break from the monotony of work, and also helps you come back to work with more optimism. Okay, so inculcating a hobby is a simple thing that all of us can inculcate, but it's important that you create this space for yourself. As far as possible, stay away from the television or the laptop as a hobby, because you're already onto the laptop when you're working. So try to slightly move away from technology tools and do something which involves yourself physically and mentally. That's a far better way to do it. Yeah. So what else have you missed out? Apart from this, it's important that you have some time for fun. Okay, now the difference between hobby and fun is hobby requires your mental involvement. Fun is you just freak out. Okay, so anything that you want to do, you can call it the cheat time every day, but getting some time off every day, I think, is important. We need those mini vacations on a day-to-day basis to move away from the humdrum, from the monotony, from a lot of other things which kind of tax you, burden you, and that will help you rejuvenate yourself. Now, I know it's not easy, but it's definitely doable. Why do we focus on this? Because work from home is here to stay. The pandemic will be over sometime soon, or may not be over sometime soon, but work from home is going to be a reality in the decades to follow. So we have to live it, we have to accept it. By the way, I would like to close with a story. So the story goes like this. There was a very famous king, and he called upon all his ministers and he said, give me an advice that would hold me in good stead all the time. So the ministers thought for a few days, and then they came back with a message and they gave it to their king. And they said, promises, you will only refer to this when you are in need. He said, all right, fair enough. So the next few days went by, and all of a sudden, this kingdom was attacked by a neighboring kingdom who was very cruel. And then this king had to flee his kingdom, and he, with his close aides, went to a forest, thinking about what happened. He was completely shocked to comprehend anything. And then he remembered that he had this beautiful message given to him by his wise ministers. So he opened the chit and read it. And on that chit was written the message, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. He read it and he got a source of inspiration from that. Over the next year, he ensured that he regrouped his entire kingdom. He got people from all around, groomed them, trained them, and they attacked the king who had got hold of their kingdom, and they reclaimed their kingdom. So now there was a lot of joy. People were enjoying. There was celebratory environment. And as the king was looking down at his happy kingdom and all the people in it, he once again remembered of that message. He took out the chit and read the message, and there it said, this too shall pass. So whether it's the worst of times or the happiest of occasions, times do change. So for the sake of everyone, let's believe and hope that this too shall pass. I think we are all good enough, both mentally, physically, socially, to tide through, to sail through these difficult situations. So wish you all the very best. I'm sure you will find better ways to enjoy the work from home environment. I'll see you next time very, very soon.